Star Wars Battlefront, or Star Wars Battlefront EA as all of its branding suggests, has finally departed the hype train it's been riding for 10 years. Since Battlefront 2, the Star Wars brand has been bought out by the Mickey Mouse Brigade, who closed down LucasArts, the guys who make Star Wars games, seemingly ending all hopes of any more Star Wars games. Disney then decided to give EA and DICE exclusive rights to develop Star Wars games in future, so it's been a long and bumpy road for Battlefront EA to come into existence. No pressure then. The very first thing to notice about Battlefront EA is that it looks very shiny and impressive, up close and in the distance, where a lot of games would still just rely on a JPEG for a background, or worse. This adds an element of grandeur to the battles and makes for a more immersive war experience as chaos is going on everywhere you look. You may be taken out a few times while just looking around to admire the surroundings and action elsewhere. Even the menus and loading screens look like a trendy magazine. There's a risk though that this shininess might have allowed EA to limit content as the graphics are initially drawing everyone's attention. It was announced a while before the game came out that there will be no story campaign. Seeing as the previous Battlefront games didn't really have a story mode anyway, it's no major surprise, although still a bit disappointing as you try and imagine what could have been. Battlefront EA does have offline missions and local co-op modes, but these are by no means adequate replacements for an actual campaign mode. So this puts all the pressure on the online multiplayer to deliver. In the past, EA have been criticised for releasing games that felt like they should have included more content, and then brought out this content for a fee. Unfortunately, EA have announced that this will happen with Battlefront. Luckily though, to coincide with the release of the Force Awakens film in December, there will be a free map DLC. There's already what can only be described as an EA shopfront in the game, as well as various attempts to get your information, and just make sure that you know that EA made this game. It's like a child constantly nagging at you for something that they want, but they've already got. We made this game. Buy our stuff. It's awesome. Gives you money. We're awesome. Gives you money. Sign our stuff. And what is this? Why is there a BuzzFeed article in my game? Annoyingly, this kind of content should have been ditched for actual content like Star Wars stuff. This is more annoying as you realise that there aren't enough weapons. There's only one shotgun and the 2 sniper rifles are only available as one-shot power-ups. Just on the subject of useless content, there are these things called emotes. You unlock and buy them with credits earned in-game. These are stupid and that's all that can be said about them. The loadout system is quite basic and feels a tad bare in the customisation department. You have one main weapon and 3 cards, that's it. Then again, some people like basic, where you just choose a gun, some toys and get on with it. There's 11 main weapons which you can't modify and choice of 24 cards. The cards are a random mixture of gadgets, guns, power-ups and traits, which of course you have to unlock by reaching a certain level. And then buying them, you can then buy one upgrade and buy more charges. I kinda get the feeling that EA want all my fictional money as well. The custom appearances are a bit of a letdown too. The uniforms hardly change, just your race. It's good to be inclusive in this day and age, but this is a bit ridiculous. There's loads of human races and genders, but with barely changing haircuts, as well as slightly altering your helmet or belt position. And then, there's a few token aliens. There should be more aliens, this is Star Wars, and there's a universe full. As for the Imperials, more of the same, and only 2 token appearances that actually look different. In all, there are 12 maps over 4 planets and 9 different multiplayer game modes. Heroes vs Villains is definitely a contender for the most fun game mode. It's evenly matched, with each team having 3 heroes and a handful of regular soldiers, so you never feel completely helpless. There's lightning going off, lightsabers and rockets swooshing around, flames and other moves. The heroes collectively make this game mode entertaining, not just with their individual special moves, but with their personalities. Palpatine mills around chuckling like the decrepit evil lightning rod he is when suddenly Palpa-Typhoon! Boba Fett's sinister coolness flying about the place.
Someone wants you killed.
And Leia shows her fierce defiant attitude.
You'll pay for what happened to Alderaan!
In contrast, the hero hunt game mode is boring. One player is the hero and the rest are supposedly on one team, but everyone is out for themselves really. It's a juggernaut game mode. To become the hero, you have to kill him or her, which is mostly down to luck. The attackers are just cannon fodder and chip away at the hero's health. It comes down to who can be that person to deliver the final knock when the hero has lost 99% of their health. Supremacy and Walker Assault are the largest and most chaotic game modes with a possible 40 players on the largest maps. Where Supremacy is just an all-out war to defeat the enemy and take control points,
We have gained possession of a control point.
Walker Assault feels more dramatic as there's more to lose.
Rebels have taken control of the uplink station. You must shut it down to stop a Y-wing bomber attack.
Beta had Walker Assault on Hoth, like the iconic battle in the Empire Strikes Back film. Pleasantly surprising then that Walker Assault can happen on any other planet with a unique Walker path. Complaints from the beta were that the Imperial AT-ATs, huge four-legged space camel tanks of doom, were too difficult to take down.
Direct all firepower on that walker. It won't be exposed for very long.
They are still pretty difficult to take down, but it feels more possible and a good challenge in the full game.
That walker's coming this way! Walker destroyed.
A wise choice is that the AT-ATs are on predetermined tracks, meaning that no player can hijack one and ruin the mission for 19 other players by wandering off with it. The ability to be one, like almost all vehicles and heroes in Battlefront EA, come not through reward, but by luckily coming across a pickup before anyone else can scramble to it.
AT-AT backup in Sector 3. A Y-wing is locked onto our AT-AT.
Smaller game modes like Blast, Droid Run, Cargo and Drop Zone use modified parts of the main maps for their respective planets. These game modes are pretty much Star Wars-ified versions of Team Deathmatch, Capture the Flag and Domination.
We're almost home.
Games are often short and fast-paced, which makes the slow, useless melee appear more slow and useless. Teams don't get mixed up after each match, so if you find yourself in a weak team, you're stuck with it unless you quit out of the lobby. Taken to the skies, but sadly not space, is the Fighter Squadron game mode. There's little choice of fighters, just the Rebel A-Wing and X-Wing, and the Imperial TIE Fighter and TIE Interceptor.
One less Imperial.
There's no Y-Wing, B-Wing, TIE Bomber or TIE Advanced. There's also only one hero per team, the big flying disc that is the Millennium Falcon, and Slave 1 with its distinctive car alarm of death-sounding lasers.
Easy targets.
There could have easily been Luke in his X-Wing and Darth in his TIE Advanced. As mentioned earlier, the ability to become a hero is down to luck. Who can notice the hero icon and get it first? In a vehicle, this task becomes a bit of a farce. In my haste to get the pickup first, I panicked, boosted towards it and crashed into the ground. Oops. This game mode is left wanting Star Wars Battlefront 2 the most, where you started as a soldier in a hangar, got in your starfighter of choice, and flew out the hangar. This could be expanded on by allowing players to man guns on, say, a Star Destroyer or Home 1. You're teased by this very image in one of the training missions, looking up, going, why isn't it like that? These would also provide some kind of obstacle to fly around or take cover with. Instead, the game has you fly around in a massively exposed swarm. Not saying that Fighter Squadron isn't fun, it's madly fast paced because of the vulnerability, but it feels very arcadey, which echoes throughout Battlefront. You find yourself waiting for all weapons and special abilities to recharge. Single player training / tutorials are usually sigh-inducing skippable content. Thankfully not in Battlefront. You're dropped in a scenario, briefly told what does what, and you have to utilise this to stay alive with minimal hand-holding from the game.
Your AT-ST's blaster cannons should make short work of those rebels.
These small missions have replay value, but players will be left thinking, why isn't there more of this? The other single-player game modes, which have local or online co-op capabilities, are Battles and Survival. These aren't missions, just a team deathmatch and a horde or wave survival mode. There's a lot of fun to be had in Battlefront, but in equal measure comes annoyance and frustration, not only in the gameplay but considering what is not included compared to what is. There will be DLC such as the Battle of Jakku coming out in early December this year, which surprisingly is free, but sadly this relying on DLC to add to the game is no excuse for releasing one that feels like it should have had more. Be warned, even if you're looking through Star Wars fanboy goggles, it's difficult to overlook the issues with Battlefront, and Star Wars fans will be wondering if LucasArts would have made it better. For now though, it seems you can't spell Battlefront or Darkside without EA.